From the Rave TV studios in Ilupeju, Lagos, it's the Teju Babyface Show. Special guest on this episode,
Dr. Ken Onyeali Ikpe. Forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me the Group Chief Operating Officer of the Troika Group, the Managing Director, CEO of All Seasons Media. Please welcome Dr. Ken Onyeali Ikpe. Dr. Ken, you have so many titles. I hope I got it right.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
You have so many titles. I'm excited to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
This is not going to be an interview, let me just tell you. It's going to be a recounting of what I heard that I quickly wrote down so that I can prompt him. He doesn't need much prompting. I prompt him, he just starts to go. I entered the office and he gave me this beautiful brochure and I just started to write all over it. I just started writing so that I won't forget any of the things that he said. For example, I said, sir, that I wanted to interview you as an expert in branding. You said you are not an expert. And you defined what an expert was. For those of you who called yourself experts, what did you say an expert was, sir?
Nobody is really an expert. If you have expertise, it will be expertise on what was, or at best, what is. If you want to be an expert on what will be, then innovation must replace experience.
That's exactly what he said.
You know,
he said, I'm not an expert. An expert is somebody who dwells on the past. That, no, I deal in what is going to happen. And then he started to drop. That was shortly after Donald Trump had shocked all of us and become American president. You said you supported Trump, and yet you have named your daughter Hillary. Please explain.
Well, as far as my daughter is concerned, I was building a brand there. I knew about the Donald Trump brand and then knew about the Hillary brand. So she being a lady, I wanted to build her in the image of Hillary Clinton because I wanted content, tenacity, and resilience. You know, if those attributes were the DNA that I had needed to warehouse in an architecture called the human being Hillary. And then if I do that, I put a personality and content by way of the quality of education, the size of education, and exposure. And then I want to liberate her so that she can compete favorably with everybody, be a man or woman. And then the name breaks the barrier. You know, if a Hillary, my daughter will be waiting for you at the reception, wants to see a group managing director, for example, you wouldn't know whether it's a male or female. I mean, until you see. So there is no inhibition just because of her name or her religion or her gender. So I built that brand, and I'm still building the Hillary brand, which is my daughter. But that of Donald Trump was very clear to me. Once he didn't wake up, he didn't become American president by accident. He built it over the last 15, 20 years. He built the Donald Trump brand, and he knew where he was going. He knew that at some point the society would be very fed up with the establishment. And he knew they would seek alternative in a man who understands business, in a man who understands political economy, not just politics, what economy can do to politics. And then so he built his business, then he built his personal brand using the apprentice. He understood how to use media when it is convenient and how to malign the media when it is not convenient. So he came up with, I'm going to make America great again. There is nobody who does not ride on the aspirational vehicle. So once I saw that, make America great again, I said, that's the man, he's going to win the election. It sounded silly that time. It sounded unreasonable that time, especially from those of us in Africa who generally lean on reputation, who lean on expertise, like you said, or things like miracle and inspiration. But I knew the man had his plan well thought out. And I knew he was going to beat Clinton, not because Clinton was not competent, but Clinton is not what the social and political order want today. They want to change, and Trump represented that change. And coming after Obama, fantastic president, if you may say, but I don't think he was a doer. I think he's more of a talker. So they wanted somebody who would do more than talk. And then he right-sized the office because he had something to show what he has done with his life on the executive side. So it was no surprise to me at all.
This is heavy stuff. We're getting there. Talking of Africa, I wrote all things down. This was how I went into the meeting to just ask for help. He just started to talk like he said the white man focuses on perspiration.
Perspiration, yeah.
The black man on
inspiration. Yeah.
And you mentioned it, please explain.
Yeah, what I meant by that, and I see it in everyday life, when a black man is confronted by a huge challenge or task, what does he do? He retreats, and if that challenge presents itself in the form of a mountain or an iroko or something that has outweighed him, completely, what does he do? He brings a calabash in front of a mountain or in front of an iroko tree and begins to worship it. The black man worships his problem. He doesn't solve his problem. That's why if you see today, from our great-grandfathers, you see the calabash, you see worship. So basically, they ride on things that are inspirational, things like hope, miracle, intervention. But the white man understands all those things, but takes them in good measure. But he generally rides on hard work, which is perspiration. If you Google perspiration, you type it, the only thing that comes up is hard work. But inspiration, you see hope, miracle, intervention, and then you can see where it has led us today.
Okay. You said that the African meaning of change, that change is desirous and sweet, provided everything remains the same.
Yeah.
That one messed me up.
Yes.
Because we wanted change.
Yeah.
And I mean, here we are, we haven't gotten the change we thought we were going to get. We're all complaining. You said that that's our problem.
Yeah.
That the problem is that we want change as long as everything
remains
is sweet
the same
and remains the same.
Yeah.
Please explain. You are going to hear that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's very clear from what we are feeling as Nigerians now. Provided everything remains the same, then change is fine. But if you really are desirous of change, then things cannot remain the same. If this house is leaking and leaking profusely, you have two options. You can patch it, and then when you patch intermittently, you get sukkah. And people can still live in it, and there will be major disruption to their life, isn't it? But if you want major change, what you need to do is call a builder and say, you know what, I'm going to take out the roof and I'm going to replace it completely. But when I take out the roof, how long would it take before my people are exposed to the elements? Rain, weather. He tells you 1 year. He says, no, please, can you do me a plan that will reduce the 1 year to 6 months so that these people don't suffer that much? So if you take the latter one, which I would take, I would take out the roof, and my people will be exposed to the elements. They will be beaten by rain, beaten by weather, beaten by winter. But I know that after 6 months, those who survive it would never see leakages again in their life.
Okay. At that point, so are you saying now, Dr. Ken, from what you can see where we are right now, are we on that trajectory in the current Nigeria? Are we just suffering the exposure to the elements while the roof is being repaired, or has the roof just completely is it lost?
Well, I think so. If it depends on what your interpretation of change and what the expectation you wanted from a change regime. Really and truly, if the change is going to be fundamental, it means it has to fundamentally affect the way you think, the way you apply yourself to life, what means value to you, what means growth, what means development. So if you answer those things as against what you see in the immediate, then you can accept that, you know what, I'm going to take the pill, and on the long run, maybe something more tangible and more enduring would replace it. However, where I find the problem is that if you are going to go that way and you take a people through a journey who have not experienced that in the last 20 years of their economic life especially, then it needs proper explaining. What you need at that point is not propaganda. You don't need PR. You don't need information. What you need is a communication strategy where you say, listen, I'm going to do this. It's going to cost me X amount of time and X amount of resources. So if you bear with me, if we get to this place, and as we go on the journey, this is my scorecard, and this is what it has taken us to do.
Have they done that part?
I'm not sure. So the problem probably is communication. It's not the intention or the act itself. And then things on the economic front may change for the worse in 8 hours. But if you want to change it for better, it may take 8 years to change a major economic fortune.
Okay.
You know.
But you said you can clap if you want to. Yes, sir. You said that often we're in a primitive stage, but in Nigeria you don't complain because of the opportunities here.
Yeah, I mean, especially for young people, I always,
Yes,
like...
to cut you. That's why he's here. The things he was saying in his office. The things, I mean, I was like, you should be saying, why are you not saying this? Why are you not on television saying this? So, yes, back to that question.
Yeah, especially for young people, let me tell you, it takes a lot of energy to complain. It saps a lot of energy. You need a lot of energy. if you develop what we call the culture of complaint. Because complaint, it means that you have to give up, you have to assimilate it, you have to be in despair, then you complain all the time. You cannot channel that energy to planning, you cannot channel it to growth, you cannot channel it to development. So I ask, if our country is completely underdeveloped, if our country is in tatters, yeah, it's fine, but why are you complaining? There lies the opportunity. Somebody is going to build the road because it's never been built. Somebody is going to build the hospital because it's never been built. So instead of complaining, why don't you fill the gap in need or create value? So you can't just complain, especially for something you cannot affect or change. What are you complaining for? It's just a culture of entitlement.
And then you said, too much, stop clapping. I have too much to get through with Dr. Ken, and I have just about 3 minutes left. Too much to get through.
Yeah.
Doctor, you said young people should read like termites.
Yes.
When you said that, I laughed. I leaned back in my chair and I laughed. Read like termites.
Yes.
In these days when people, and I'm not joking, young people treat books now like a foreign object,
Yes.
like something that will burn them. They come into my office and see my modest library, very modest library, and they go, wow, how did you do this? They can't seem to read anything. I should know. I wrote a book.
Yes.
I can see the sales.
Yes.
What should they be reading? Young people.
Everything. In fact, at the risk of sounding immodest, listen, I did a PhD in economics, isn't it? And after that, I've done all manner of marketing programs, books on strategy. I've had all manner of degrees on leadership. But you know what? What makes me strong, I think, and what gives me real capacity is not so much about my knowledge of economics. Yes, I have that. And by the way, certificate is not a meal ticket. Certificate is just to certify you that you can now face the vagaries of life. So if you have it...
Let me define. You didn't get that.
You
know what vagaries are?
Yeah.
Vagaries of life are the... Let me say it in Yoruba that I will translate.
Yeah.
Of life. The ups and the downs.
Yeah.
So your certificate is just certifies you that you're
to
ready.
certify that you can deal with it. You
the-
can process it when you see challenge. You can process when you see a task. Then you can put a strategy to overcome it. So certificate is not a meal ticket. So the fact that you have a certificate doesn't entitle you to a job. What you need now...
No, I know I said you shouldn't clap, but you should... Because you should see how many texts I get. And from parents, my son just graduated. Your Aburo just graduated. He needs a job. What has he done? He has a 2-2.
No, it's complete nonsense. I mean, if you have a 2-2 or 2-1 or 3, you have a degree, you are not an expert. So what are you applying for? You need a skill set that will guarantee you daily bread for the rest of your life. So when I say read like termite, you have to read everything. It has to be geography, physics, biology, religion, politics, so that when you talk, your cup is predominantly half full, not half empty.
Great talk. Okay, sir. I'm going to ask you 3 more questions. I'll leave your background for last because they're going to see you on TV. There's this debonair, dapper-looking man who is obviously very well. I mean, a man of the world and all that. They want to know your history. How did you get here? So I'm coming to that.
Okay.
But there were 2 other things you said that just cracked me up. You said if you call you said it's all about branding. You said life is about branding. You said, for example, you said I've met people who have named their sons Solomon.
Yes.
And you said, forgive me, the boy is almost stupid.
Yes.
If you're going to name your son Solomon, the boy must be wise.
Yes.
I mean, how can you tell that the boy is going to be wise when he's yet a baby and you call him Solomon? Is it your fault if he grows up and he's not wise?
Yeah, well, the Japanese say Yorkshire, York Kanga, isn't it? What you put in is what you get out. Nobody is a fool at birth. Nobody is unintelligent at birth. It's not possible. Going by the gene, some people are slow learners, some people develop slowly, but it's the brand, the human being you give birth to. Once it's the 8th day, like the Yorubas do, you name the child, the brand journey has started. So the quality of schooling, the quality of content you put there will determine who the child would be. So no child, except the child comes out with a biological defect, which we call chromosomal disorder. So you say, okay, this one has, is poorly developed in the brain, and then there's a special, a child that will need special needs, Otherwise, it's what you put in there that you get out. So when you're naming a child, be careful what you name. Make sure that you mean it. Because if you say your child is going to be Adolphus, then you know what Adolphus is. He's going to be strong. Solomon is supposed to be wise. So it will be a tragedy and a predicament. Your son is Solomon and he's unwise, isn't it? So make sure that if you name that child, then you make sure that the training aligns with the meaning of that name, and it has to come with ruthless consistency.
Great. Second to the last. This one is interesting. I watch football. They started to win some years ago. They are in the capital of the UK.
Okay.
They had a special one, which is no longer their special one,
Okay.
but some other people's special one at this point. And a lot of people are supporting that team. Now, across the town,
Yeah.
they have these neighbors who are red,
Okay.
who used to win, but haven't won in a long time. Let's call them their name. Arsenal. And everywhere I go, everybody's abusing Arsenal. Sack Arsene Wenger, sack Arsene Wenger. I mean, they haven't said in the stadium. And you are the only person that I know who supports. Did I get it wrong? You support Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
And you say you just don't support. You say, look, I'm not a fan.
I'm a stakeholder.
Say it again.
Stakeholder.
He's a stakeholder in Arsenal. Please define.
Well, I mean, these guys are young anyway, so you wouldn't probably know Arsenal as much as I do. But if you're less than 40, really, the Arsenal you probably support now is the Arsenal of Ken Onyeali, isn't it? Arsenal have gone way, way, way back, before the gentleman Arsene Wenger came in 1996, thereabout, and turned the way football is played in England and in Europe in general. As I speak with you, up to the diet of sportsmen in England, the template was developed by Arsene Wenger. What kind of diet you need to get the level of fitness, and then how you need to play the game, so that you need. It's not just a game of goals. Football is like biscuit. You don't know where to crack from. Therefore, you cannot guarantee that if I buy the best players in the world or play the best defensive formation in the world, the scoreline will end 1-0. So why don't you make the game beautiful? Why don't you treat the ball with love and care? So Arsene Wenger introduced the way and manner you play football so that you treat the ball with love and care. No wonder not winning the Premiership for 13 years, their season ticket is pre-sold in August. Once it's August, the whole season ticket is sold. No other team in the world can command that kind of marketing dexterity because of the quality of what you are going to see, because those tickets cost over £200. So you need to go to the stadium and you watch the game, win or lose. There is some moment of truth. There is some oomph you will never forget in your life. It could just come from one magical movement. Yes, winning is fine. But winning, whether it is for a football club or for a family or for a business, has to be defined. Winning should mean different things to different people. If you set up a business to win, you may decide that in the next 5 years I'm going to post profit. Then after posting profit consecutively for 5 years, you could decide, okay, we're not going to do too much of profit anymore. We are going to expand this business. And we're going to build back the business, the equity side of it, so that we perpetuate it to live for another 200 years. So if that strategy changes, it means that you may not win or declare profit for another 5 years. For the ignorant watching, you say, this company have not declared profit for 10 years. But for the shareholder who is watching the plan and being executed, the plan is being executed excellently. You are ticking all the boxes. So if you're a small club with a 30,000 stadium capacity and you want to become a Barcelona, you want to become a Bayern Munich, you want to become a Real Madrid, and you have a manager who have won everything he could possibly win, including going seasons unbeaten, playing the best football in the world, and he say, listen, wait a minute, we need to build infrastructure so that we can become the Real Madrid of the next 50 years. And what the infrastructure? It is their home stadium. Because if you play a Champions League game in that kind of stadium, you make £1.6 million. While Manchester United rakes in €9 million. So you cannot compete in the market with that kind of team. It doesn't matter what you win. Madrid, with their 100,000 stadium,
I can see Arsenal fans shaking their
makes
head.
Makes a revenue of over €10 million per every Champions League game. Not to talk of merchandising. That's why they can afford to buy a player for 100 million now. 50 years ago, 20 years ago, they couldn't do that. So if a man says, wait a minute, we're not going to do that anymore, I know it's going to be tough. We have two options. You either sell your club to Usmanov, and then he buys whatever players you want to buy, you continue to win like I've done, or you don't sell, the soul and the personality of the club remains the same. I will help you qualify for the Champions League until you're able to build a stadium, but you need a 500 million naira loan from the bank. This is the design. It will be the best stadium in Europe. You build it, then after building it, then you can compete.
£100 million, you meant, sir?
£100 million. Okay. The stadium was going to cost about £500 million.
Okay.
So if a board looks at all that plan and approves it and says, you go ahead and say, but you know what, Arsene, if we're going to go that route, it means that for every season your rivals spend a 150 million on the pitch. On the pitch means buying players. We'll have zero budget for you. because we need to use that money to finance this infrastructure. And he says, don't worry, I don't need the money. I'll hold on to you. You qualify for Champions League with the likes of Theo Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Ramsey, all of them teenagers. I'll qualify consistently for Champions League. You can build your stadium for 6 years. After that, we come back to another type of plan, which is winning. So he did that for 6, 7 years, and all through those 7 years, he qualified for Champions League amongst clubs like your Chelsea, your Liverpool, your Tottenham that spent tons and tons of money trying to buy the trophy. And there's no guarantee. They are in and out of it. And the money is there for 20 years.
Okay, for the Arsenal fans, I hope, let's see when you win again. Let's see.
And that's why if you tell the board of Arsenal to sack Wenger, you sound like a lunatic to them. Because the boxes they've given him, he has ticked it all over. He's won his infrastructure, he's kept them in the Champions League. After paying for that, the first thing he did was he bought Ozil, 50 million euros, to demonstrate that I can buy a player when I want. The next day he bought Sanchez, 35 million. Okay. Again demonstrated that. And every year he made that kind of investment, it reflected in the trophy, isn't it? He won the FA Cup twice.
So according to you, sir, Arsenal will win the Premier League in our lifetime?
When they want to.
Okay.
They win when they want to.
Okay. Dr. Ken, in just a word, if you had a message to just pass before we go, what would it be? If you had just a message to pass to the nation, to the young people, to the people, for the times in which we live.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, I'd like to leave you with this quote. Life should not be measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the number of moments that take our breath away. So choose your own fight. Don't go into all things at the same time. Choose what you want to do. Channel the energy there. If you want to be a carpenter, make sure you're the best carpenter in Ilupeju. If you want to be a bricklayer, make sure you're the best in your local government. You want to be a singer, an MC, whatever you choose to do. If you want to even be, okay, let's not go into crime, but whatever you want to do.
If you want to be a thief.
Yeah, just make sure you are the damn best in that area, and it will guarantee your livelihood, and then stop complaining. You are not entitled to anything. Nobody is entitled to anything. So this culture of complaint should just keep it aside. Nigerian people have been complaining since 1966.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Ken, I'd like to thank you for coming. What has transpired between us now in 10 minutes is actually closer to 30. Yeah. And I wonder where I'll put everything. It was very important, like I said, to bring somebody who has seen from both sides. Yeah. And like I said, he's a brand. It's not expert. The word is exponent. Is that the word? Expo. Expo. Brand something. Dr. Ken, thank you very much for coming, sir.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.